filled in what?
The pledge.
I did.
That was your weakest effort yet, though.
I think he just hates our country.
Okay, so we need to do a couple things today. So we have our first quiz next class. So we've got a couple BC topics we've talked about, and I will put a few of those questions on your first quiz. And then there's 3 BC topics that I will put at least one question each of. So if you look at this handout that you picked up, number 13, the review topics. So I don't have but like 4 or 5 questions on there for you to do, so that one's going to be very quick. But I also put on there a few places where you could get some extra practice. So if you know you struggle with partial fractions, I have Khan Academy link there where you're welcome to go and practice 100 of those. Same with integration by parts, whether it's a definite integral or indefinite integral, and improper integrals, but we're going to practice more of that today as well. So the top part is just reminding you what type of stuff will be on the test. The AB stuff that we have done were reviewed in this class, so would be fair game for the quiz would be U substitution, the derivative of the trig functions, sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, using the quotient rule, and slope-filled questions. So I think most of you probably don't need to review any of that, but if you do, then please do so that you catch up with everybody else. So then on the bottom, you can see there's actually 5 questions, but the first 4 are just trying to force you to put into words, how do you know it's a U substitution question versus a partial fractions question versus integrated by parts? Like what looks different about those questions so that you know which way to go about tackling it. So if you are not sure the answer to those, you will need to ask those sometime today. But again, last time we talked about the improper integrals, and I wanted to give you some more practice and some more class time, so that's where I figure we will look at the most. So let's look at these 6 on assignment 12 you picked up this morning, and then you can go back and finish up assignment 11, and then if you didn't finish up the first and last page of assignments 9 and 10 from several classes ago, you need to do that. So we got to kind of wrap it all up and kind of be at the same place here. So that we can get a quiz in and start looking at some other stuff. Okay, so I'd like you to look at, let's go ahead and discuss the first couple questions, just a quick little refresher, and maybe try to fill in some of the gaps that didn't click right away last time. So, obviously all of these questions are improper integrals. How do you know number 2 is an improper integral?
Infinity.
Right. One of the limits of integration is infinity or negative infinity. And then I didn't do a good job of explicitly saying this. I'm going to definitely add it to the notes for next year. But how do you know number 1 is an improper integral?
Can't divide by 0.
Okay, so what number is a problem?
4.
Right. So right here, if you're going from 0 to 4, it needs to be continuous over that interval. So notice if you plugged in 4 here, you'd get division by 0. So it is discontinuous at x equals 4. So the integrand, which is the thing you're taking the integral of, if it is undefined for some part of this, it is also considered an improper integral. So notice, like, I don't know, if we were doing 1 over x, this would be a problem if I was doing negative 1 to 1. I'd have to break this up at 0. I'd have to do negative 1 to 0 to the left plus 0 to the right to 1, because 0 is undefined. But if this was, I don't know, 2 to 3, it's never discontinuous between 2 and 3, so all of a sudden it's not going to be an issue. Okay, I do need you to write down one thing at the top here. This is not one that you have to have memorized right now, but you will need this for one of the questions. So to integrate something that looks like this, it is one that we will need to memorize for BC, but you don't have to memorize it before your for your quiz.
Bless you.
It's the derivative / integral when using inverse sine or arc sine. So just make sure you jot that at the top of your page, because one of these questions you can't do without that. And there's only 6, and there's only one that looks like that, so that'll make the integration part pretty easy. Okay, but I'd like to just kind of as a group, let's discuss the first couple questions. That way I get some input from you guys about where you're hesitating, what you're worried about, what you're not worried about. Okay, so the fact that this one is discontinuous at x equals 4 means we should not try to evaluate it at 4. So what we will need to do is set it up as a limit as t approaches 4 and change this to 0 to t. And then just leave everything else alone. Now, technically, I can't plug in 4, so that's going to be a problem. So should I try to come from the 4 from the left or from the right?
Left.
Okay, and why do you think left?
0 to 4.
Right, so if we go 0 to the, or 4 to the right, we're going to include numbers to the left of 4, not a problem, 4, which is a problem, and numbers slightly bigger than 4, which is not a problem. We need to say to the left of 4, so that we're trapped in between 0 and 4, and we don't quite step over the line to the part that's discontinuous. Okay, so the limit part last time, you saw that you have to just carry that along each time. I know that's a pain, but you need to do that for FRQs. You forget that, don't write it some steps, you could be losing some points that you should get. Okay, and then to integrate this, obviously, if you can rewrite it first, then do that. Okay, how should I integrate this? Okay, that's great. U substitution is going to work out perfect because there is a step of chain rule. Let's say I don't want to do U substitution because I think I can get by without this one. This is something to the negative 1/2. So if I undo the power rule, let's raise the power by 1. And then I also have to do what? I'm sorry, you gotta say it louder for me.
Add 1.
Add 1? Like that?
Oh, to the exponent.
Okay, so I did. It was negative 1/2, now it's positive 1/2.
I'm going to multiply by 2.
Okay, why multiply by 2? Right, dividing by the new power, which is a 1/2, is the same as multiplying by 2. I'm going to throw that out front. Okay, now that we have integrated, the integration sign disappears, and we're going to do 0 to t.
Does chain rule make it negative or no?
Yes, it should. I'm sorry. I got hung up on the other part. Yeah, when we take the derivative of this, chain rule is going to multiply in a negative 1 that we don't see. So the safer play is to just do U substitution. I know U substitution takes an extra minute, but it also keeps you from having to check so often and sometimes forget these negative signs. This has to be negative. The derivative of this is not this. It's equal to the opposite of that. Okay, and then our fundamental theorem of calculus tells us how to deal with these bounds. First, we're going to plug in a t. Then we're going to plug in a 0. And then subtract those values. Oh, okay. Guess I'll just start doing the limit now. Okay, so now, if I tried to take a number slightly less than 4 and plug it in here, 4 minus a number that's basically 4, bless you, is going to go to what?
0.
0. Okay, minus the square root of 4, which would be minus 2. And so it looks like our final answer should come out to be
Minus 2. 4 and 4.
4. So yes, some of the questions are tougher, and again on assignment 11 I think they're a little bit harder than this one. But at its core, we have to think about how to split this up, throw a limit out front. Integration's no different than we've done. Of course, sometimes it's harder if it's partial fractions or integration by parts, but that's good practice for you also. evaluating still the same, doing the limits still the same, but of course some of these questions can have quite a few steps to them. So, okay, is there anything that jumps out at you about question 1 that you don't remember from last class?
Where did the negative in front of the 2 come from?
From chain rule. If you take the derivative of this, you bring the power down, you lower the power by 1, and you multiply by the derivative of the inside. This, I'll move this down. Actually, no, I won't move it down. This is not the same thing as this. This, because of chain rule, is creating a negative 1/2 that this doesn't have. So by multiplying by -2, it cancels that out. That's what I just undid that in my head, but again, U substitution does that for you every time. So if you're unsure, just do U substitution. Okay, other things that jump out at you about number 1? Okay, let's look at one more together then, and I don't know, I feel like I did all the explaining on that question. But on this question, again, and I kind of really just want to see what parts y'all think are the hardest. So I know that I'm going to keep this an integration for at least a couple steps. What's some of the stuff I should have down in my first step? Where are you going to start writing down if this is the first question on your quiz?
Limit is t approaches infinity.
Okay, so we need to deal with this infinity. We can change it to a t and do this limit. Keep everything else the same. Okay, somebody else tell me what is going to have to come next.
We integrate.
Okay, so try to integrate. And now again, this is the part that can vary in difficulty. It could be something easy to undo. It could be slightly harder U substitution. It could be a partial fraction or integration by parts, which of course makes the questions even longer. This one's pretty easy to integrate though. How does x to the -3 integrate?
Raise the power by 1.
Bring the power down,
And divide by it.
divide by the new power, okay? So you're okay with that? Okay, and then we still need to evaluate from 2 to t. So we've got this -1/2 times the limit as t approaches infinity. Again, I know it's a pain to write it every time, but you can't really say this equals this equals this without saying that. So now, fundamental theorem of calculus tells us how to deal with these. Plug in the t, plug in the 2, subtract those. Now, before we go to the answer here, I'm going to ask you to do one more step, because I'm afraid a couple people may have this issue. This negative exponent, I really want to make this look different. So how did we do that last year?
1 over t squared.
Okay, so an exponent of -2 in the numerator is the same thing as an exponent of +2 in the denominator. Do the same thing over here. An exponent of -2 in the numerator is the same thing as a positive exponent 2 in the denominator. Okay, so now let's do the limit stuff. And I'm going to start trying to make some mistakes so y'all can try to catch my mistakes. Okay, if I try to do the limit of this, what does this go to? Good. If your denominator grows faster than your numerator, that goes to 0. You can try to plug in infinity here, but there's no t's, so this is going to stay minus, what's that come out to be?
1/4.
Good, 1/4. And so our answer is -1/4 then?
No.
How come?
-1/2. I forgot it.
Right, this -1/2 has to carry along. It's easy to lose if you're careless with your work there. So -1/2 times -1/4 would be +1/8. Okay, anything that jumps out at you about question number 2? Okay, so let's kind of split into 2 different groups here. So if you had a question from last time, assignment 11, and I didn't tell you had to finish that one last class. I think I asked you to do what, the first 5 or something?
First 6.
The first 6? Okay, even better. So if you know that you need help with one of those first 6, go ahead and tell me what they are and I will help you. And if you don't need help with that particular question, you try question 3 on today's worksheet. So you're either working alone or you're following me because you need help with something. So was there any of those first 6 that you had tried for homework last time? Nothing? That's fine. I just felt like some of these were a little bit harder. So okay, so obviously as you guys find questions, please let me know, but we kind of need to find a good stock in place for all this stuff so I haven't given you homework points in a few classes. So I'm going to suggest you do this handout from this morning, assignment 12 first, because I think the difficulty of these are more appropriate. So do assignment 12 first. The answers are on the bottom of the back page. Go back and finish assignment 11. So if you did through question 6 like I asked you to, you've got 2 more there plus 3 multiple choice questions. So 3 past AP questions for you to see how they like to ask those. If you did not do the first and last page of assignment 9 and assignment 10 from like 2-3 classes ago, I never took that up, so this is your last warning. I did not make you do the page 2 of either of those. You still don't have to do page 2 of either of those. We'll actually review those at some point. That won't be on your quiz. And then finally, once you've got all that practice under your belt, take a minute and look through 13. Make sure you know the topics from AB I'm going to put on the quiz, the topics from BC I'm going to put on the quiz. Make sure you can answer these 5 questions where they make sense to you to help organize your ideas. And then if you need extra practice on partial fractions, take advantage of that Khan Academy link. If you feel like you need extra practice on integration by parts, take advantage of those 2 Khan Academy links. If you feel like you still need practice on improper integrals, take advantage of its Khan Academy link. That's completely optional, but you personally know what your weaknesses are, and obviously it's better to get that practice in before the quiz than after the quiz. So, any questions about the plan for today or the general questions about the quiz on Monday?
How long will the quiz on Monday be? Is it mostly free response or is it multiple choice?
This will not have a free response. It'll have fill in the blank and multiple choice. And I will take most, probably not all, but most of the questions will be questions you have done on previous worksheets. So if you really look back through your binder and really look at those questions, especially if you mark the questions you had trouble with the first times, then you've got a shorter list of things to put a second look at. And of course, doing that, you might accidentally practice one that ends up on the quiz. But to be also honest, I haven't finished putting all of it together yet. So, you know what that means, right? That means y'all need to be on your best behavior today. Well, it's not a good day to irritate me if I'm still making your quiz.
Really very students today, so it's a good day for that.
Okay, I'm first going to make my way around the room just to make sure that there's not something specific I can look at and help you with. Otherwise, I'll let y'all work together for a bit.
I was Friday. On Wednesday, Wednesday I was also. I slept through like 5 alarms.
Oh.
Yeah.
Stayed up too late?
I don't know. I went to sleep at like 11. I don't even know why. I know. I'm sorry.
My wife didn't get up
I'll try to
this
get
morning.
better sleep
I'm
next
hoping
time.
she called in to work.
We have
I wasn't gonna wait for it.
his
So I know, have you already started
I've
the
done
improper?
number 9. I think I need to do this
for some
slope
reason.
field one.
Okay, so you have a copy of that?
No, I don't.
Did you see me behind this one? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't know. You should post it. I couldn't even honestly.
Okay, so just like this one, you don't have to worry about page 2, but you need to do the slope fields and those and check your answers.
I didn't go.
Girls, is there anything you like to start with?
Just like on the phone or something.
Oh wait, how did you get 3? I got 1 originally.
So let's lock it in and get it.
Yeah, there's 3 here.
Mr. Thompson, this weekend's gonna feel extra short because it's only 2 days, that's 3 days.
No.
Which is why you should try to have no homework.
Yeah.
And Shepherd's a 9.
Because the one that multiplies by 1.
Braden's on it.
It was though. It's just a 0. So for me, that looks like a 1.
Well, that's because I'm trying to figure out how to move our sign.
Because so that 3 is not gonna be there. The 1 person's on front.
Exactly.
Because whenever you.
Low key, I need to remember some. I forget some
About the power.
derivatives.
I don't know exactly. That's the same with you know, like going on like 130.
Maybe.
Let's just leave it at 3. Maybe it's a good question.
That's a great question.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
It was necessary.
It was good?
It was necessary.
Okay.
Okay, so arc sine, it just means what angle has a sine of 1? Okay. Arc sine of 0 means what angle has a sine of 0?
Oh.
0.
Yeah, so you only pick one of those.
I'm actually correct with that. Except for the
So
1.
5/2 minus 0.
Thank you.
You might have slowed down because of the inverse, is that what messed you up?
No, I just. I was listening to them talk and then walking talk. I had to pepper out. I just didn't.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Doing good?
I understand what you're on.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, great idea. For
Huh?
this, is this the version you're in?
Yep.
So,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you weren't here.
Oh, you didn't get it. Wait, did you get the notes? You got it. Oh, you were.
Oh, okay.
We have this.
I just kind of remember.
Try to apply that.
Like in P,
Braden just like.
See this?
Thank you. Oh, wait.
You don't have to worry
I
about
don't,
it.
and then you're about
No, not as much.
or inverse sine of something.
It's not a lot.
Not as much as he thinks.
oh,
Yeah, it starts down.
All we're not the 1, or this one's supposed to use that.
E to the negative infinity. Yeah, you check that one. Negative one.
So this one, I think it's supposed to use that. This
Huh?
one is supposed to use that.
I mean,
this one's
Yeah.
But what square equals that?
What is that?
Well, technically, the monkey son of that's for.
Right, well, this square equals that.
This one hardly emails.
On this one.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, but someday you memorize that, and then you really have to.
So then it wouldn't be used.
Good morning.
I'll do that.
Or wait,
That's it. That's what it is. But thinking, it's 10:20.
Plug it in.
Yeah.
Can I see it?
That's whenever Ava and Nathan.
You need to grab the handout.
Usually 9:30.
Ava and Nathan are leaving at 9:30 to go out.
Okay, so one thing I did, since this is due to infinity, I did the limit as t approaches infinity and change that to a t.
So I had to go. You're funny. You're funny.
Ah.
Okay, so to integrate g prime, you really ask what can you take the derivative of to get g prime? What would that be? There you go, yeah, it's g, yeah. So that's the only way to integrate that, is just knowing that g derivative of G is what would give you G
You
prime.
got 1/3.
And then evaluate it from P to G and then do.
1/3 for 3.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
That's
such
what I
a,
meant to say.
it's easier, so it seems like it's wrong.
Wait, suppose the one is coming from the right.
And I don't know what else was to do with that.
Mhm.
Right? When it's coming from the left, it's not.
Agree, yes.
Yeah.
I think you gotta be.
So for number 5, since it's coming.
this one.
Wait,
Why would it ask me that question?
Well, so it's 0 coming from the right, so I don't know.
Would you, so would
Correct.
you look at 3?
I was gonna pick up.
Yeah, 3, because 3, when you plug in 3, it's
So you
easier.
plug it like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
There you go. Get all 6 problems.
Forgive me. No, I did. I wouldn't have noticed that.
Did you get number 6 correct?
Basically, it's gonna be, or 1.
What angle has the sine of 1?
This is weird how you write it.
Oh, I just said a divergence.
Which you wouldn't want to do.
Why does
Yeah,
number
I was looking at that on all of them, and I said,
Negative 1 x
why
plus
doesn't
a
something
squared, negative 1 x
minus
minus 0.
1?
We're just every time we want to
Yes.
0. It's 1 over x, 2 over
Okay, so what
However,
is the
there
sine
is
of 1?
divergence.
Converge means comes to a certain point, diverge means that.
Minus. What angle has the sine of 0?
Not go to one driver.
Exactly.
But why would it keep on
Whatever,
forever to
2
the
minus
point
0.
if it's, one of them's bound?
That's a great question.
Inverse changes
I
how you
don't
look at
know,
it.
that's what we learned.
So if this is a sine of 1, your answer would be the ratio of sine at angle 1 ratio, which we don't know. Inverse means you're plugging in the ratio, and that's why I phrased it what angle has the sine.
Let's finish this.
Sit back, breakfast.
Inverse has the opposite input and output of the regular function.
We're gonna
The
do
sine, you plug in angle, and the output of the ratio. Inverse, you're switching. So this is the ratio,
Let's go Bible study.
and this is the equal angle.
Okay.
That's why I asked
Oh,
you
yeah.
what angle has the
Tell me about that
what
last
angle has
It
the
said that,
That's how you do it. Inverse.
he said that Sheen's been into it and Sheen got
Yeah, Shane got me.
You're done, you're done.
Yes, sir, I'm done. With number 3.
You didn't put your name on it.
Oh, I should do that, shouldn't I?
We have a question about.
Number 3, actually.
I got a question. Where's your pass?
So it's just.
Pass check, pass check.
Just can't do it.
What was that?
It's just
Was it 9 and 10?
What?
Is that what you're supposed to have?
No, I'm just looking at where to see what I can yell at for.
Gotcha.
Because
So
we
on this one,
integrated
I was
is-
looking. I brought the.
So you got the first, I really came down, I got by the bottom. I said, okay, that's not right, because I checked the answer. What makes
You
it?
do, you break it up.
Bring it 3 down, so it's
Equals 0.
What's the derivative?
Well, yeah, because you wouldn't subtract it.
Times 3.
Times 3.
They're not doing change.
Okay, you're right.
Is there a 3 e to the 3x?
How would you
there?
integrate this?
There's a 1 e to the 3x.
Oh, that's it.
E to
That's
the
why we have to
x.
1/3.
Yeah, it's balancing out the That's what U substitution does for you if you don't want to juggle it in your head.
That's perfect, thank you.
There we go. Okay, let me see if I can come up with a.
I was wondering where you put them, you were just like.
This one is, well, think about it, it's, you have a to the x, the derivative of that is, well, it's natural log of a times.
It's like
Okay, what's the derivative of 2 sine x?
Sine
What
is
angle
cosine.
is
The 2's just gonna make it 2 times 50.
what angle is the sine of 1?
If I wanted you to integrate,
So it's unit circle. That is.
okay, never mind, that's a bad example.
Yes, but you're only gonna take
I'm
one.
trying to come up with something.
No, Oh, yeah.
I might just have to steal some.
What do you use on that? First quadrant, maybe? Boy, that's a good question, you should ask that.
Let's try this.
Brendan's trying to get us a tough quiz.
Was this for number 6?
No, I was just trying to come up with something to help y'all see chain rule. Okay, so the derivative of e to something is gonna be e to the something, right? And then because of chain rule, you have to take the derivative of the inside part, which would be a minus 2x, right? So if this said, I don't know, integrate this, you can't say this integrates to this, because the derivative of this doesn't equal that. The derivative of this is this. It's creating extra parts because of the derivative. When you're doing the antiderivative, you're trying to undo those parts. You gotta think about the direction you're going. So this one has, I don't know, variables in it, so that's not the best example. What was the one you were looking at?
I was looking at number 3. So
E
you
to
would
the
then,
3x.
yes, e to the 3x.
Okay.
Just negative e to the x.
So at first you said e to the 3x integrates as e to the 3x, right?
No, yes.
Okay,
No,
so
no,
when you
no.
write that down, if you're skipping u substitution, I get skipping u substitution because it's a lot of work sometimes. You have to check, what's the derivative of e to the 3x?
What am I doing now?
3 to 3x.
But wait, I didn't tell you I wanted a 3. So what you wrote down, this isn't the real antiderivative of that, because it's creating a 3 that you don't want to be there. So how are you gonna knock out that 3? You can do the 1/3. So that's fine as long as you're checking to make sure you balance it out.
It's under 5, okay.
Or if you don't want to do that mental gymnastics, you're gonna have to do u substitution. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, if you're skipping u substitution and not checking your antiderivatives, then you're gonna have
X to the
a
negative
handful
1
of
over
mistakes.
If you're doing u sub, you just switch e for u.
Right, yeah, so if you wanted to do u sub,
So it would be 1 over.
that's a great
0.
question, because
1 over 0.
you're gonna see why u sub takes care of this for you. What would you pick to be your u for that?
E
To the 3x.
to the 3x?
Okay, so it's e to the 3x, so the 3x is stuck up in the exponent, so we're gonna try to pick this for u,
Oh, okay.
which means du would be 3dx.
Yes.
And then if you start trying to make this replacement
This
here,
is negative 2x.
if this was our original question, this is like e to the u, right?
Literally, this.
But in place, I need to replace 1dx, and right now I only know what 3dx is. That's why I say divide this side by 3, divide this side by 3, and that's what we were trying to do in our head a minute ago.
Okay.
And u substitution just makes it a one-step equation, basically.
It's the same as well.
So, okay.
Hey,
All right.
Anytime that you're taking the integral of e to the something, you're almost always gonna have your u be the exponent.
Yeah, it's usually something trapped in something. So it's usually the exponent, or the stuff under the radical, or, I mean, that's usually what you want to pick out to be u. You can pick u to be e, it's just that as soon as you take the derivative, you're gonna get du equals 0, and then you don't see how to make replacements. So then that's where there's a problem.
I was thinking, if e was x to the 3x, what would you do there? If x to the 3x, what would your u be there? Would you still
X
do?
to the 3x?
Yeah. Would you still do u 3x?
This wouldn't be u substitution anymore, because no matter what you pick for u, du is not gonna give you the other piece. You're gonna need to think of this as something times something, which is one of our new BC integration topics.
Okay.
Is that partial fractions, integration by parts, or improper intervals? You got a 1/3 chance, guys.
Improper intervals?
Improper is when you are worried about these bounds.
Oh, yeah.
So not that one. This one's by parts. If it's something times something, that's when you need to do the UV formula, the integration by parts.
That's an original plan, so.
Yeah. And that's a question on the review, so
Okay.
you might want to go fill that one in while it's fresh in your head. Okay, let me help them out a bit. I'll come back.
Anything to help you with 5 minus 2 minus 0?
No, the 1/3.
Can you make that square root of 2? Or not? Does that make sense?
Inverse trig functions
Cube root of 4. Is that equal to square root of 2? Or no? I didn't know if you get square root of 4. So
Okay,
it's
so
2.
when you did
And then
inverse
have
trig
it.
functions,
Square root of 2 would be.
you had to memorize, like, inverse tangent only
Like,
exists
that
between
equals
negative pi over
this.
2 and positive pi over 2. Inverse cosine only
It
exists
doesn't really matter though, because it's not.
from 0 to
It
pi.
doesn't matter anyways.
So yours was what? Inverse
Is the answer
tangent?
matter?
It would just be cube
Or does it
Inverse
matter
sine?
what that is?
Inverse sine only exists from negative pi over 2 to positive pi over 2. Because we don't want more than one possible answer.
Yeah.
Pi minus 2
I
minus
understand
pi
that's
is totally
what
different than
you're
pi
saying.
minus pi over 2 minus 0.
Well, that's
Yeah.
all it can.
And then just the integration of it.
If you wanted to make it 2, it would be 2.
Examples of good agendas on the board.
Yes, it was just the power of minus 1.
She said she was looking for IDs.
I got IDs.
Put it on.
Oh,
Man.
man. You get Mr. Townsend
Fred
fired,
yours is
come on,
still
man.
intact.
Whoa.
Kicked out of class.
Oh yeah, you watched it. Rich.
I watched it.
Mr. Townsend hasn't missed school in like 8 years, but then Ben is where his ID, and that was fired.
How many years is it now? I feel like that would happen.
See, I walked in the left.
All because
Mr. Townsend, how many years?
Come on, man, what are you doing?
How many years is what?
You haven't had a 6 day in how many years?
Oh, I don't know. It's been a while.
I took one on Wednesday.
It was the first year that I was in this classroom. So the first year that phase 3 was here.
Do you ever get sick or no?
Yes. Are you just immune?
I get sick of random questions.
Oh. Wait, so if we ask enough of those, we have to take a sick day?
No. It will impact your quiz difficulty. Don't forget that. I'm not done making it.
You're making the quiz like you're making each problem by yourself.
Stop asking random questions,
You should just put in like a 0 for Brendan.
I already told you, yeah.
Like after, just to troll him.
Well, I'm just-
Brendan is
Most of the
super
questions are
hard.
gonna come from previous worksheets.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm not like just picking stuff out of the air.
Okay.
If I did, I would have to work it out to make sure like.
Well, I was just wondering like, what's the process of making this too?
That doesn't work. The reason, I know what you're
Plus
doing,
100.
but the
That would be
difference
easier.
between one is
The teacher
anything that
first.
takes more than 5 minutes for you to get started. That's not infinity. Isn't just some quiz what those numbers were on.
Oh, 6 is
That
that
one you
doozy.
actually have to work out, and then you have to think about what exponent on that
Same as 1%.
either to not be even there.
Yeah, when you get in
That's
there,
the
it's
first
up.
one.
I don't know.
Get a plus
Stop
that.
using the correct way.
Have you seen Luke's doing it?
I'm gonna do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
You should get a buzz, bleach it, and put smiley faces on.
You know what would be really cool if you got a buzz.
Look at my ID.
Oh, negative.
Yeah, that's kind of
So negative.
Is it full buzz?
So you get one like him.
Thompson, I think you would look good with a
I
buzz.
literally did that, and I literally did
I
that,
don't know.
and I didn't write it.
I did a 4, that was all they had. It was
So
pretty
then,
much
I
little.
just put the negative after, and then.
I hated your hair.
We'll might find out why you get buzz cut. I could get y'all a buzz for free if you want one.
I'm good. William would really like one though.
Maybe for like.
Nah,
I know Leo well enough.
Really, $20? You pay him $20,
I'm
he'll
not
let you
gonna pay him
instead.
$20, you can pay him $20.
Okay.
You want me to keep the chopper charity money?
Where is that?
It's like
Wait,
wait, you gotta think about where
Buy a wig.
He's plugged in.
If you let me keep half, if you let me keep half the money, I'll do it.
Negative infinity.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
I'll go to
Maybe. Would you?
That's actually.
Would you do it?
Maybe.
If we get enough people,
Would you do it? Every time he already has a buzz.
Yeah, he has a buzz, yeah, that's true.
Scroll down.
Calm down, Thompson.
Oh,
Stop being
it's
so-
zero.
Come
I thought you
Budgeting,
said what's the
budgeting.
answer?
I want to do it.
Or what did you
I
get?
You should do two.
No, it's
You
should do it.
Well graded. You're up here.
Yeah.
You could raise a lot of money.
This semester, end of the semester. Alright, right before
Yeah.
winter break.
December 6th.
It's
Or December 9th.
And you can choose,
No.
does it have to be
I don't know.
no cover, no blade?
No, you can
No.
choose the
Could
guards.
it be 4? I could 4 or 5 guard?
when you
That's
take the
Yes.
or the 3.
Okay.
Chick-fil-A. A 4 or 5.
Five's gonna be
And
like-
each of
It's
the
gonna be like
It's
this.
okay.
you took the derivative of but each of the negative squared.
Yes. That's just gonna be weird.
Well, it's gonna be at that some point, it's be at that.
I mean,
Hey, you'll have her next year.
or you just keep it small the entire time. Break out of here.
She's an AP.
Like go full summer. Those guys sound
So far, she's
And he
good.
approved also.
Like,
Until
like,
after
I saw the showing you all this AP or how.
You have to do like 90 problems. I got mine good. And you have like
In one night, I had to do
90
problems.
Easy. You had to do 90 problems. You had like 20 problems a day.
Pre-cal was the easiest class anyway.
Dude, our pre-cal class.
You don't do that. No way. Pre-cal was easy.
What are they?
Yeah.
Oh, the Greek
definitely
race.
takes less Lego probably.
Mastermind.
Yeah.
We need to bring them in there.
Anything will be negative x squared, moving rows, that would be negative 2x, almost the other part. And that sounds like a pain, but since these are identical, you really only have to do it once, but you can use it twice. So,
I think I finished.
Yeah, me too.
Mr. Thompson, you might have my brother next year. Possibly.
Yeah, I finished everything.
He's, yeah,
What card game?
Henry.
Whatever you want.
Henry.
Henry Maynard.
We have to leave in like 20 minutes.
You better warn him.
He's cool. He's cooler than me.
Oh, really?
I mean,
Yeah.
You're running all the way.
Better say that's not saying too much.
I know. Y'all need my help more.
I'll ask you when I get my next.
So,
Tyler's
actually,
what,
is our sign the same as sign of A1?
Yes. He's got a 30-year-old guy who plays Valorant.
Not saying it's
Oh.
one over sign is reciprocal. One over sign is cosecant. Mark sign means inverse sign. Not the same as one over sign.
Nuclear.
Yeah, we're going to power plant.
That's cool.
No.
Not really. Chemical engineering.
No, you came later.
Nuclear.
It is
Yeah,
nuclear.
uh-huh. Yeah, okay.
But did you check your engine light back?
Yes.
And you're
They're super safe as long as you don't do anything to make them
So,
go.
you know what our sign
You work from home, he's remote.
Yes.
But this is not to go
It's-
open
so
to
it's
the
asking
What was it?
what you're plugging in, so we're plugging in 3 over 3 means that we're trying to plug in 12.
6
And
and
one
7. I
angle
finished all of it.
is
Eight, 1 and 3, 9 and 10?
You did 13. And then plus it's 0, 0, 3, 0.
How do you
And
know?
then angle of sine equals 0.
5 parts.
Sine equals 0, edge, pi.
So why do we choose to be 0?
Just
Partial fractions.
They're gonna make it exciting.
That came from the iteration of this.
Fraction that has a denominator.
Gives all the parts out actually.
I mean,
It's when you're integrating something times something, so that you can get to like the u and the v stuff.
I mean, I know what that looks like.
Oh, no, it's 3, you limit it to each
Would you
other.
get the numbers?
You're talking about that.
11.
Sorry, I'm like,
Oh, no, just x over 3 is what you're doing.
Oh, I
You
didn't
plug
see
in
the
x
x
over
over
3.
I just saw like x and then. I know how
Multiply.
No offense.
You and then you're gonna get the.
That's
You want some cards?
Yeah.
would be very
Play,
Oh,
yeah.
But, oh, shit. this equals
Play
x.
it blow your mind and see that.
I don't think he has the triangle mark.
Okay, so when I'm looking at all this stuff is just number stuff. So all you really care about is that this.
Yeah, I just don't know where to go
It's like
from there.
x
I
is
think we
down.
would feel
X as the exponent to infinity, then you know the whole thing goes to infinity. And if you can get the x variable,
Integrate, or,
all of that.
integrate e to the negative x.
So based on that guy's exponent, you can determine whether he's gonna converge because the limit exists versus diverge because it goes to a negative.
One in the morning. Too mature.
Because that exponent
Sick.
Well, I want it to be less than negative infinity.
so less than 0.
It would be interesting if you like taught
You want x to that.
So we have to do u sub n.
Well, the
U
derivative
sub
is
n partial.
Okay.
I'm on the same
Yeah,
one.
Yeah.
And I
That
didn't
one's
quite
tough.
get it.
Well, in all of this mess.
Wait, did you do partial on 6?
All of this stuff.
Or did you do sub?
It's.
Right.
This is a number, this is a number, none of it has to do with one. Here, you got a variable.
Yeah.
So you gotta make sure that this.
U sub works.
Oh, okay.
One
over another greater than one.
Fraction is
That's.
Yep.
Right. Oh, okay.
You really said it.
At the bottom.
Aces are 11.
He can go to the bathroom by himself, sit down.
Oh, I was just looking at this.
You only have one pass?
Yeah.
You okay if I go with no pass?
I do want to.
Is it an emergency?
Nah, I'll tell you when it is an emergency. You'll know.
Oh, no.
I didn't know if Brayden was about that.
Oh, he was having me gamble.
That funny.
Alright, Mr. Townsend. Yes. If you have 1 over x to a power of greater than 1, it's always going to diverge, so you know you're incorrect if you have a number. That's your answer.
If you get a number as your answer, that means the limit exists. You do the limit of all of this stuff. If the limit exists, it converges.
Right. Is there a rule about whether?
I don't know.
Oh, there's a rule if integrate from 1 to infinity, and it's in this format. And you can just
It's either 18 or 18.
One of the, that's it. It couldn't be 2 of the
Yeah, you keep saying that.
This is one that you so if you like that,
I'm not sure though.
I like that.
I'm not cheating.
I got a 21. He's had ace king.
You can do that.
Okay.
It's up to I think he got rid of triangle.
Filling out in public. This is a, I have to get this.
Right.
Wait, x to the negative 1/3, yes. Then you integrate, so you raise the power by 1.
This one on that is.
Negative 4/3 plus 1 is 1/3.
Oh, negative 1/3.
You can find it, I'll play it. Or if you want to play some Mastermind, I'll play with you. Want to play apples to apples?
No, it's not.
That's mine, you
Oh, you trying to like diverges?
No,
No, about that u in the
Because if
denominator.
it's 1 over x to
Or the 2u.
infinity, that's just zero.
Alright, so I'll play with that.
So it diverges divided by
Wait, I wanna play.
It's a 2-player game.
Denominator.
I don't think you should have the.
Are you gonna set it up or am I gonna set it up?
Yeah, you're picking easy, that infinity over, and this is just e to the u.
I'll set it up.
Right now over to you.
Alright, I need you to. Yeah.
It sounds like you're trying to integrate.
But remember we made it so that
Integrate U substitution one.
you don't have to. It doesn't, it tells you how many you have correct or how many you have color.
No, I have advisor. Ready? Quick.
I don't know, we'll just have to see.
The white are bright color from spot.
-2 really are right, so
right spot.
We don't have to put them up.
Today, the one.
This is your what?
Alright, look around, close your eyes. It's basically
I miss the Lucas Luna. I got to see the Lucas Singer,
Okay, those colors are green,
Adios.
red,
but
orange, blue, and red.
There is no way.
I don't know where to go.
There is red.
Which one's white again? And
White is right letter from spot, or right.
See what white is, right?
That's
crazy.
We
Guys. I got people working. That's gonna be the priority. There you go. This was right next to each other. Alright. Okay. I'll pull it.
Where did Lisa go?
So she had posted a couple pictures of herself with her boyfriend on Instagram this summer. And I really wanted to comment and be like, you're the first guy I know about your boyfriend in Tennessee or whatever. And I was like, just in case he doesn't know, I don't want to really cause problems.
Which one is red and which one's white?
Red is you got one of the right color in the right spot. White is you got one of the right color in the right spot.
Everyone just plays that part differently, so I can't remember.
Yeah.
I feel like they should be black and white, like.
I feel like red would be right color, wrong spot. White would be right color, right spot. Because red seems like it would be like.
You don't have to tell them which one it is. You don't have to like.
Well,
No, I don't have to do that. Because otherwise it's too easy. Because you can better just go color by color.
Decide, yeah, like on the. What?
It was.
Remember how to do those?
Kind of.
Okay, so like right here, you're trying to integrate this, which is fine, but you don't need to integrate it all.
Alright.
This is just telling you what the slope needs to be. So plug in a value for x, like 1. So when x is 1, the derivative is 1. So everywhere x is 1, just sketch a little slope that looks like it's 1, like the rise over the run is 1. And then, of course, make sure you check your answers for that, just in case.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Thompson?
Yeah.
You said we might need to ask what are the situations in which we have to do our improper
I plugged in zero
integration of
first.
parts or proper fractions.
Well, I just asked them right here to make sure that when you see them on the quiz, you have an idea of which approach
It
you
was
should
completely
take.
random. I had a whole bunch of different.
There's no fractions, obviously, and partial fractions.
Okay,
Correct.
But integration, and then if there's, so improper integrals, it has to, either one of the bounds has to be something that causes the integram to be
Learn anything in today?
Learning some vocab.
to be undefined, or one of the bounds has to be infinity.
Correct.
Or negative infinity.
Yep.
So then, if it's none of those, you go to integration by parts.
Yeah, integration by parts is when you're trying to integrate. It kind of looks like the product rule. Something times something, but product rule is about derivatives, and integration by parts is about integration.
Integration by parts is always something multiplied by something in the
Right,
integration.
because it's the one you got to pick out the u and the v, find v prime, phi u prime, and then just plug them in the formula. Because I won't on the quiz say question 1, do this by integration by parts. Question 2, do this by partial fractions. It'll just say integrate, and you have to think about which one to do. Now, I mean, if you pick the wrong way, you're probably just going to get stuck real hard and realize that maybe you need a different approach. But it's better to start it off.
That means we next.
Looks like one of those marbles.
I don't have a problem with
Oh, yeah.
Seven's actually
Are you talking about today?
Yes.
It's basically Wordle, except it doesn't tell you what spot it's in. It only tells you how many you have correct.
I've got bad news.
Uh-oh.
We're going with colors. I'm colorblind, so I actually can't tell.
I have a friend who's colorblind, but it's not like
You can still
horrible.
You can still like tell this. It's like red. Red.
I was the other end.
I didn't think that.
Yeah, because red is so
No. Well, when I was in, there was something that, I forget what it was, but it was like some super simple thing that I thought was like.
It just used to think the world was black and white.
It says 3905.
Is that true?
Or do you want to play the other?
No? Okay.
The 900 down in phase 2. I don't know why he would be there.
I was thinking.
I'm good at it.
Someone else uses his room for advice. So he like moves around.
What was it look like?
It's a dollar.
I was thinking we have a
Oh, didn't take that.
Y'all already
But
played?
yeah, if you want that reason.
Yeah.
I've never played this one. So I don't
We
know
have to
how
get
to
5 in a row.
But you
Spin on this
you
well.
make a play and then you spin, so.
Oh, that's cool. Looked all.
I like doing it because it makes me feel smart.
See the piece? Oh, it's magnetic. No.
I've never even opened this.
Is it just?
I don't know, I didn't think it came off. Are you done?
Yeah.
You done studying? Yeah.
This layer plus.
See, I've been seeing these all over like Instagram.
You're gonna get 100 or almost 100.
Hilarious, and I'm like, well, not that hard, but high guitar drill.
Huh?
Oh, yeah. I've seen. You only spin it once, I think? Yeah.
So start with empty boards.
Can I get you anything else?
I'll play away.
Can I get some?
What do you want? You're not done anyway.
Can I get some help? I'm joking, I'm joking.
I guess it's just.
Didn't work like
Oh,
Alright.
okay, so you just.
I'm going back to work on this quiz.
One and then you spin A, yeah. You only spin it once, in any direction.
Basically,
Yeah.
this thing.
Oh,
For 11. Five, 6. That one is a doozy.
How do you I think you only spin it once. Okay.
The derivative. Okay, I was about to do that too. This one's U sub. Did he tell you it was that one? He did. He told you to do that? You can do U sub on this one. It works out for some reason.
Oh, wait, I never spun.
You can do U sub on this. So
Say the negative x.
I did U sub. I did. Yeah, that's it. Negative x squared is U. And then
How you would?
how would you do that?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
just use the derivative of negative 2.
So what's the derivative of it?
Yeah.
It'd be negative 2, right? Or, oh, you'd have to do product. Derivative first times derivative, or sorry, derivative first
Plus.
times the second, not derivative. Plus g prime f.
Not divided by
No.
What's the quotient? Say you got f over g.
F prime is g minus g prime f over f.
Oh, I did.
Which, yeah, denominator.
Thank you.
Yep.
But you can't tell what it is.
Let's just, I don't know.
Hey, Dex,
Yep.
you're out. By the bathroom, there's a white water bottle. I left sitting.
Oh, yeah, fine.
Why?
You got that? I forgot.
I gotcha.
One more.
So he wants you to put it in the toilet first.
No, I don't. I prefer to just watch straight back.
Is this like a
sure?
video or something?
By the side of the bathroom.
The side of the mouth.
This is the water bottle which says men's right around the corner.
We're doing this part with drug dealers.
Yeah, that's quick.
White water bottle right outside.
What's that? On the ground.
It's just sitting on the ground in the hallway.
Oh, that's nice.
How do we do this? What's the goal?
5 in a row.
That's so tricky.
Oh, you did it. Yeah.
Wow, that's really good.
You go first.
So you place, and
And
then
you can
turn.
spin any of them.
Do you have to turn?
Yeah.
What's the farthest you
No, I can't, yeah, I can go there.
I got the past.
That's over. This game is that thing you fall over.
Yeah, well, that's just because you were cutting me off. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. Let's just.
Well, just part of that is not passing it. I know.
Cool, man. Yeah. Well, I think once you get better at it, like once you start understanding it, it's hard. Like when you play with somebody over and over and over, you start to learn strategies and stuff. Kind of like a big four. When you first start playing, you don't really know what you're doing. And as you get better, you realize that you can force.
It's 0 hour, so.
You just stop it. There.
She was pretty quiet most of the year.
There's a denominator.
Down at the end.
Yeah. What's the burden when x is zeros? I mean, oh, so equals. I'm done.
You used to have the
That was the better one.
Yeah, so arc sign just means, arc sign's the same thing as inverse sign.
You just want to get down as many of your pieces as possible. And then once you get you're out of
So like, if you're talking about regular signs, you plug in an angle,
this little.
and then you answer the sign ratio
It's
at it.
super easy when there's 2 people.
Arc sign.
When there's 3 people, if you play smart. But if there's 4 people, like it's
How do you?
impossible.
How do you
Arc
get
sign is the same thing as inverse sign.
Me, Ben,
And the difference is, since it's inverse, you swap these two.
I'll put the input in
It was so how mad Luke got at Ruby
So what
Trace.
you need to think about on
Oh,
your
I-
paper-
how did I? Luke was cracked.
Guys, second time I'm telling you to keep your voices down. There won't be a third time. So this is saying what angle has a sine of when you put this in 1? So what angle has the sine value of 1? Okay, so that part goes 5/2. And this is just saying what angle has a sine of 0. Okay, and pi over 2 minus 0 is the answer. Yeah.
You know what's good?
Are we leaving now?
All of them will do that. I mean it that way. So you like.
That might have been the worst one yet.
I know. I usually go around like this.
Mr. Townsend, we're gonna leave for bands.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Shut the door on your way out.
This thing is from.
Why is it so much nicer? Screen. It's just
Ready?
Brendan, you're finished?
No, but if you missed one, would you finish?
No. You stay on task.
Yes, sir.
You can play with that when you're done. Do you know what you're supposed to do with that? You're supposed to try to make those shapes. That's the challenge.
I mean, I have one of them at home.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, a green one. Mostly, I think, use it as a fizzle. Fizzle? Fiddle. Just feels like it's gonna break.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's very well made.
No.
If it breaks, it breaks. I only spent like $2 on it or something.
Maybe that's why it feels like it's gonna break.
That's funny.
I know I already had you do this, but I lost it.
Oh, well. What did I put down the first time?
Put down. Don't forget. AA, BB, plus AA.
This?
I have to double check.
Yes. I did a little higher. It's made it 8. See, I've done 20, but I could get 20 to 22. I got negative square. That was your answer?
No, fuck that one.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. One, it goes right here. There. Same.
After you already took that.
I think I just knew it'd be EDU. Yeah.
Well, is that what you got? Once you took it.
I got a doc. Did you do some?
Yeah.
She did. Yeah. Du equals 2x dx.
Yeah. Negative d equals 2x. Watch this.
I just left it as e to the u. And then I plugged in, I think you leave it as e to the u because you have bounds. There's bounds. Okay, get this first up. Wait. not really sure. There should be bounds.
I was just, well, right, there's bounce.
I mean, that's the.
But I was just taking it in, and then I would put the.
This would make it one.
I'll just finish it.
My bad, I'm confused.
Well, I solved it.
I'm on 50.
Sorry, click on this one.
Make it better.
So
Make it better.
Yeah, just so it's cleaner also, because like, just on everything else.
You jumping?
Yeah. That's not good. It's over in opposite direction.
Nice.
No, this thing, I got to finish it, and then just like, I can do that, it doesn't loop. I know, and I can do work.
Now we have to be too precise on it.
In this section, and we're already in the outside. Then I just move this back. There it is.
You gonna practice some calculus?
This calculus.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So easy.
94, 96.
And then you got 118.
Okay, so we're down to about 6 minutes here. So first I need to remind you, I am going to take up several / most of those assignments. Make sure that you have them complete unless it's something like page 2 on assignment 9 and 10 that I told you didn't have to do, so that you get full credit on those. Make sure if there's 1 or 2 of these topics that you could benefit from practice on, that you get that practice. We will have our quiz first thing on Monday. So, no questions before the quiz. First thing on Monday, we'll have that quiz so I can get you some assessment grades.
Mr. Townsend.
One sec.
Go ahead. I'm going to smash that thing so many times. I actually got to play on it.
Okay, so not so much a logic puzzle today, but just a different type of thing for you to mess with. Okay.
When you take the integral of 2x to the e to the negative x squared, you get negative e to the negative x squared.
E to the u.
I can't read the second word. Message.
I think so. So if I take the derivative of this, I would get e to this, which I want, times the derivative of this, which would be negative 2x. With this negative, that makes it a positive 2x, and that's what you've got. So yes, that integration is correct.
Now, automatic.
And then when you plug in your bounds, my t is infinity,
Okay.
b is negative infinity. I do not get 0. I got 0 plus infinity.
Okay, so let's say you plug in You're doing t first, so infinity.
Message is great.
Okay, so infinity squared is still infinity. Times a negative is negative infinity. What's e to the negative infinity go to?
And it. That's weird.
1 over.
Okay, so I'm good with that. And then b,
Negative infinity.
right, so if you plug,
Positive.
yeah, because you square it and it becomes positive, so you get 0 again, don't you?
The square.
Because whether you plug in negative infinity or positive infinity, if you square it, it becomes positive anyway.
Gotcha.
So just because of order of operations, you're squaring first and then multiplying by
So
negative.
it's 0 plus 0, not 0 plus infinity.
Right.
Yep.
I don't know where I'm because are we supposed to go to advisory right now?
At 10:20.
So this is still first period.
Is that the one where
Oh,
it's
okay.
all on?
Because I just got back from swim, so I.
Oh, okay, you're fine. You're welcome to
Okay.
hang out. We have our pep rally we're going to go to, but it'll be a few minutes into advisories. Is there any of it you couldn't read?
Message was hard.
Like that for me.
Serves was the hardest word, I think. But then after that, we got the hang of it.
Have y'all seen these before?
No, but I've seen the ones where the first and last letters are the same and everything else is jumbled up. Like this study by Harvard College has proved that it doesn't matter what letters are in the word as long as the first and last letters are there and every other letter is supposed to be in the word.
That's
Because your brain
interesting.
registers registers text by words, not by letters.
I think I could probably do that.
Yeah, it's
Because
easier
I'm
than
not,
this one.
like, I can't sound out words. Like, I know that's how people learn to read, but I can't do that.
No,
Like, I have to recognize the word and just know what the word sounds
Yeah.
like. I
You
have.
can't sound out words.
Mm-mm.
Like dog or
Like if you were to
Like,
find a
what do
new
you
word,
Like,
would you be able to?
Tommy? Like that?
you can't say like talk like that.
No, the problem is, like, if you always sound out words, some words you don't pronounce them the way they sound out.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah. I mostly learned how to read by just memorizing and not sounding out words.
It's honestly probably better. Actually.
That is how most people learn to read. That's how most people learn to read.
So if you give me a new word, I won't be able to pronounce it until I hear it a couple times.
That's true. Or then like I have a little brother and sister and they're learning how to read and they